We wanted to present these candidates so we can all see the ones who are coming forward this day. A lot of you have been involved in their preparation for this time, and in the letters that they wrote to me, they shared things that they have learned, experiences they have had, and they started to look ahead to what they hope confirmation will be for them. And as I mentioned at the beginning, my prayer is that this day will be a renewal for all of us who have already been confirmed, as we try to understand what this day is all about. Now, the readings for confirmation are the readings of the day that we celebrate. So this is our fifth Sunday of Lent. And so we have readings that give us the beautiful story of the raising of Lazarus. But I want to start by drawing our attention to this second reading, because we have the words of St. Paul that tell us exactly what confirmation is, that tell us what is happening to you today. So in that second reading, St. Paul, writing to the Romans, says, "Those who are in the flesh cannot please God, but you are not in the flesh. On the contrary, you are in the Spirit." This is what happens today. This is part of the grace of God that began with your baptism and now is completed as you come here. The life of the Spirit that is placed in you. Now, I want you to know that St. Paul is saying that you are in the Spirit. He doesn't say you will be in the Spirit. And I point this out because it's very easy for us to think that we're only living the life of God when we get our life in order. When we have everything perfect, well, then God looks at us with favor. But the truth is, God created us. He already knows that we're not likely to get our life in order. So he doesn't wait for that in order to give us his gifts. So it's important for you to know that with this sacrament today, Christ is in you. And that will be true whether you're doing exactly what you should or not. Whether you are measuring up as you think you should, or whether it seems like you're falling short. Whether life in front of you seems clear to you, or whether it seems confusing and heavy. Whatever is going on in the world around you, whatever struggles are in your life, Christ is in you. So it's important that we see that, because when we feel the need for Christ, sometimes we look around and hope to find it, when what we really need is to turn in and see this work that God is doing in us. Now, St. Paul, he's comparing what it means to be in the Spirit by contrasting it to being in the flesh. So this can cause us some confusion, because after your confirmation today, you're still going to be the same you. You're still going to have the same body. You're going to still have the same talents and abilities. You're still going to have the same struggles. So we don't leave our bodies behind and only think of the Spirit, but rather we should understand that being in the Spirit means that there's something deeper in us. That in addition to our bodies that often let us down, there is something deep in us that is from God. And it is that place that we find all that we need to live out our lives of faith. So St. Paul is making this contrast between the life of the Spirit and the life of the flesh. Now, he's highlighting the work that Jesus does, the work that Jesus will do in you. And to make that very clear, we also have the story of Lazarus. So Lazarus was someone beloved to Jesus, a close friend of his. But in the flesh, Lazarus had a normal human weakness to the point that he got ill and he died. But Jesus wanted to demonstrate his power over the weakness, even the illness, even death that comes with the body. And so Lazarus died, and Jesus even says, "Well, I'm glad I wasn't there." Seems strange to the people that hear him. I'm glad I wasn't there, because he says, that way you can witness the power of God. You can see something that highlights who I really am. And then, not only does he say that I'm glad I wasn't there, he waits a little while before he goes. So that by the time he gets there, 4 days have passed. And when he says, open up the tomb, they say, it's going to stink really bad. Are you sure that that's what you want to do? But Jesus chose that moment to highlight just how powerful his presence in the life of the Spirit is. To take what was dead and bring it to life. And so that's true in that literal form with Lazarus. But that's also true for us in the ways that we fall short. The great struggle that we have to live our confirmation, to live as people in the Spirit, is the weakness of our flesh, that is sin. And when we sin, it's not just that we broke one of the rules, but rather we have chosen death instead of life. We have allowed a part of ourselves to be taken by death. So when Jesus comes and talks about his life, he can give back life where there was death. That part in us that dies can be restored by Jesus. So that for you to live in the Spirit rather than in the flesh is about seeing that power of God is in you. When you're trying to make a decision, you can call on the grace that God gives. You learned about the gifts of the Spirit. You learned that there are these gifts that we call wisdom and knowledge and counsel and fortitude, these things that give us the strength we need. So part of how you live in the Spirit is that when you find yourself unsure about something, you turn in and say, God, now is when I need that gift. Now give me understanding. When you find yourself weakened or burdened, you say, now, Lord, I need that fortitude. Help me to take a step that I cannot take on my own because my flesh is weak, but you give life in my spirit. This is what happens for you when you are confirmed. Now, to help you kind of live the life of the Spirit, I want to give you a couple of images that I hope you will hold on to, because while we know that we are in the Spirit, we still have our bodies. We still struggle under the difficulties of our life, and it's easy to forget what God has done for us. And so one of the keys to living the life of the Spirit is that we have to pay attention. We have to look inward to see where God is already in us. So the first image I want you to think about is to use what we describe from the Spirit as gifts. So think about a gift. Compare it to just an ordinary human kind of gift. All of us, especially when we are children, we imagine certain gifts that we want our parents to give to us. Maybe we're leading up to a Christmas, and so we picture just that perfect thing that we want. So imagine then what happens when that gift is put in your hands. There is this excitement. This is exactly what I wanted. But then imagine that you take that gift and you go put it in the back of your closet and shut the door and you never look at it again. What good did it do? It was a waste of time for the people that love you to give that gift. So that is a danger that we can have, is that we receive gifts from the Lord and then we hide them away. And then when life is difficult, we say, Lord, where are you? Why aren't you helping me? And the Lord is saying, go look back in the closet. I already gave you the gifts that you need. So you're going to find them already because I'm closer to you than I realize. So think about that image of the gifts as you try to live out your life of faith. Now, one of the ways that we use the gifts of God, that we bring them forward so that they can guide our lives, is prayer. In your letters, you talk to me about the desire to grow in prayer, that you see that you pray better than you used to, but you hope to pray better still. So prayer is a way that we use the gifts, that we remember that they are in us and not hidden away somewhere. So the second image that I want you to think about is an image related to prayer. Jesus already is at work in you. So when you pray, you're not trying to convince Jesus to do something. You're trying to let Jesus change your heart so that you can use what he is doing for you. So picture the image of your life with Jesus as electricity. In your homes, electricity is there behind the walls. It's ready to power whatever it is in your house that needs power. But if you never plug into the wall, it doesn't do you any good back there behind the walls. It's like you walking around with a plug in your hand saying, I wish this thing would work. And when you plug it in, the power of the Lord is there. Prayer is plugging in to the work of Jesus that's already around you, within you, that provides everything if only you take the moment to use it as God intends for you. This is what happens when today you are given the gift of the Spirit. So that from this moment on, while you will still have the life of the flesh, you will still have the body that God gives you because that's how you act in the world. But that to live in the Spirit is to see that there's more to me than meets the eye. That underneath the surface, there is the power of God flowing through me. A power that God gives to me as a gift, and so I never want to hide it away. A power in me that is ready to be unleashed if only I plug in. And when I begin to take advantage of the gifts that God gives to me, then I can cooperate with God for the life that he gives me. When Paul goes on, he says, Christ is in you. The Spirit is alive because of righteousness. He will give life to your mortal bodies through the Spirit that is dwelling in you. Confirmation is considered a sacrament of initiation. So your being confirmed today is not the end of something, it's the beginning. The beginning of you living out your part in the life of faith. So your family, your community, the people that surround you, we take pride in this moment. We are filled with joy to see the miracle of the work of God in you. As the bishop, I'm also excited because I know that the work of Jesus' mission today cannot be carried out by any one of us alone, but rather when each one of us uses the gifts that God gives, animated by the Spirit of Jesus himself, then we begin to accomplish the mission that Jesus has for us in this place, in this time. And so, in just a moment, this will be the gift that you receive. And so my prayer is that you will understand it more deeply as you continue to grow in your life of faith, that you will be a people of the Spirit. And through you, the world around us may begin to see the power of God at work, the power to bring life where once there was death, to overcome the weakness of the life that we have, so that the power of God may shine through us.